So here we have a story inside of a story. Mark seems to do this quite often in his gospel. Well, he'll start one story, and then all of a sudden jump into another story. So today we have two stories. But both stories, if you actually sit down and read them, are quite similar. So what do you think the stories are about? Let's just start off with what is this all about? Hint, hint, up on the screen. If I was a professor, I'd be stamping my foot. Faith. Absolutely. What faith this woman must have had to come out and to seek Jesus. What faith that Jairus had, knowing that he worked in the synagogue, was a high priest. And look, they didn't like Jesus. They were looking at ways to kill Jesus, but he knew the only way to heal his daughter was to come to Jesus and ask him to heal her. What faith that must have taken him. What courage that must have taken him to come out of that synagogue, to come down and to seek and to find Jesus where Jesus was. And Jesus said, okay, let's go. And so they start going. But Jesus has stopped again. Now imagine Jairus was pretty upset at this point when Jesus stopped, when the woman touched Jesus. Well, now let's look at this woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. In Jewish law, she would have been unclean. Anything she touched, came near, sat on, was unclean. She'd seen many doctors who tried to cure her, and she was at the point where she was out of resources to go to doctors. The human doctors were not able to do anything for her. Her last hope, just like Jairus' last hope for his daughter, was to go out and to seek Jesus. She went through the crowd, and when Jesus had these crowds, they would have been huge crowds, so she would have had to forcefully fight her way through to get to where Jesus was, knowing that everybody she touched in that crowd was now unclean, as she was. But the courage that she had, the relentless pursuit that she had to be healed, drove her to see Jesus and to just reach out and touch. And knowing the faith that she had in him would heal her. And the moment that she touched his cloth, his coat, his outer garment, she knew she was healed. And I think she, at this point, was like, okay, good, I'm healed. I'm going to sneak away. I don't want anybody to know I've done this. But Jesus goes, who touched me? I felt the power come out of me. And his disciples kind of, Jesus, there's so many people around. How can you know? Stop it. You don't know who touched you. But Jesus knew. The woman knew. I think she almost felt scared that Jesus was going to rebuke her for what she had done. Because Jesus said, who touched me? But did Jesus rebuke her? Did Jesus get upset at her for the faith that she had to seek him, to find him? No. Jesus turned around and said, my God, your faith has healed you. Disease of 12 years is no longer there. You're no longer unclean. You can be welcomed back into society. See, she would not have been welcomed into society, the Jewish society, having this ailment. But now she would be welcomed back. And I'm sure at this point, Jairus said, come on, Jesus, come on. My daughter's dying, let's move. And Jesus turns to him, but he hears the commotion that don't bother Jesus, so don't bother the teacher anymore, she's dead. And Jesus said, no, she's not. She's sleeping. And they laughed at him. They laughed at Jesus because they thought they knew better than what Jesus knew. Jairus' faith healed his daughter. So we have these two stories this morning that are sandwiched together about faith. So what does that story tell us today as we make this walk that we call Christianity? How many of us posed this morning on Facebook, how many of us have the faith to seek out Jesus as the woman did? Are we seeking Jesus when we're in pain? Are we seeking Jesus when we're having ailments? Do we seek Jesus when a family member is sick and dying? Do we have that faith to go through the crowd like the woman did? To push and shove just to get that opportunity to touch Jesus' garment. Other places in Scripture it says to have faith. If you have the faith, you can move mountains. I think this woman this morning moved mountains by what she did. By taking the encouragement and the willingness to go against the cultural norm, to seek out and to be healed by this person named Jesus. Once again, how does that relate to us today in our world? How are we seeking Jesus out when we see him in the crowd? Do we run the other way? Are we fearful? Are we saying, well, I don't want to do that because it's not me? Are we trying to part that crowd to get to him, to make the changes that are necessary to be made in the world that we live in? Like last week at the ordination service, Chuck mentioned that the individual who preached that we need to be disruptors in the world that we live in. So when we see Jesus, or we see an area that needs Jesus, we need to go and disrupt that. To seek justice, to seek mercy, to seek peace. But as we do this, that's one thing we have to remember. When we go and be disruptors, the one thing that we can't forget is that we need to love God. And to love our neighbors. So when we're disrupted, that doesn't mean that we go out and just hurt people, because that's what we want to do, to be disruptive. We go out and we do disrupt, but we do it with the way that Christ taught us to do. And it's in Scripture. It's in the Scripture today. The woman who knew that she had to make a difference in her life. But what she did opened up the opportunities for other people. For other women that might have been in the same situation. Jairus also disrupted. Here he was from synagogue. And he understood what Jesus could do. And he got out of his high castle and came down and sought Jesus to help him. That's it. And to be disruptive, we have to have that kind of faith. We have to have the faith that can move mountains. Because you look at the news today, our world needs a lot of faith. Needs a lot of disruption by us who call ourselves Christians. To change the world that we live in. Do we have the courage of this woman or Jairus to do just that? Do we just want to sit down on our hands and continue to not do anything, just sit here? this woman could have done. She could have sat on her hands and decided that I don't need to be healed. My life is worthless. The Jewish law says just because I'm bleeding, I'm unclean and I can't be a part of society. She didn't do that. She got off her hands and she seeked what she knew would change her and change the world. So as we prepare to plan the future for SUMC, are we going to sit on our hands? Or are we going to be like Leroy and be disruptors of the world that we live in? This is the point where you say, Amen! Amen! Hallelujah! Let's find that faith. We don't have to find that faith. We know where that faith is. Let's find the power. We already know what the power is. To make the changes that are necessary to be changed. And to continue to do that as we continue this journey together as a family and as friends. None of us are on this journey alone. Let's continue to focus on our faith in Jesus Christ, the one that can heal us, the one that can bring about peace, justice, Lord, most of all, the love of this world that seems to be in turmoil and in chaos. There's one factor that can bring everything out of chaos, and that is the love of Jesus. Let's go out and spread Jesus' love to this world that needs it more than ever before, and have the faith